Good morning. Mr. Biggins is here. CG is a fan movement, not a corrupt business association. Biggins, if you want the link, you just let me know and I will send you the link because this is something that I want to touch on. Something that I have seen manifest over the past couple of years here in Comicsgate. Whatever Comicsgate means now, and that's an open discussion I want to have. We'll get started. We'll talk about the elephant in the room. So, first thing that we're going to talk about is the Pitt omnibus bust. Maybe we should call it the Pitt is a bust. Mm-hmm. So, when Whitney and I offered to help Dale, it seemed like Dale was having some financial issues, and we just wanted to help Dale. Dale was in Comicsgate for quite some time, and it just seemed like everyone wanted a piece of Dale or wanted a piece of Pitt. People wanted Pitt and, here or there, and it just seemed like no one was doing anything for Dale. So we went over and hung out with Billy Tucci and Deborah Tucci, and we asked them about their omnibus, and we had this whole discussion about how we wanted to help out Dale. And we found out some of the logistics of it, and we presented it to Dale. And I felt it was his time to make this happen for Dale because he was here for such a long time. Everyone wanted Dale to make new Pitt. He had these hundreds of thousands of dollars just sitting there. So we were just like, let's just try to help Dale with it, And I know, Phil and those guys were planning to do new Pitt, and we weren't trying to step on anyone's toes, and some people got their panties in a wad at that time, but we didn't want anything to do with new Pitt. Like literally with the book, I were telling Dale, you don't have to do anything. I was going to organize the Indiegogo. Whitney was going to handle the fulfillment. Billy Tucci and Deborah were going to help us with the printing, and also hooking Dale up with Steve Jeppy Diamond, and we were going to try to make Dale a lot of money. Okay, and no time was this ever going to be a Riot Press production. This was just us trying to help a friend out, a fellow baller, if you will, because I thought Dale deserved it. And again, I thought too many people were trying to get new stuff from Pitt, and no one was helping him with old stuff. And we had all the time in the world. And this is the 30th year for Pitt, so it was a perfect time, So I want to put our attentions out there first, because as we were getting closer to the date, some things were being said about us being grifters. All we were trying to do was help someone out. You know what I'm saying? We were trying to just help a friend out. Do you have anything you want to add to that? And I just wanted to put that out there. Like, we gave Dale the best deal that he was going to get as far as like paying for fulfillment and the people that were helping him. Our intentions were just trying to help a friend out. And we weren't trying to upset Phil. We weren't trying to make other people jealous that we were doing this book because they didn't do this book for the past 2 years and they had a chance. Like, we weren't trying to do any of that. We were just, this had to be done now. And we decided to help him, But as soon as we started to help him, these things started popping up where it was like people were getting mad at us. People were purposely not promoting the book for whatever reason. They missed the boat with helping Dale. It was a no-brainer. Really, the project was very easy to kind of assemble so far, and the book was probably going to be done before the end of the campaign. So that was our intentions, and that was our path. Now, why did it get canceled? Okay, so when you do a campaign, or when you're just on Twitter, okay, you have to understand that there are trolls out there, and there are people that will nag you, and there are people that matter. And when you do a campaign, you have to be mentally ready to be dealing with these people. And I think some people got to Dale and pointed out that the campaign was under my wife's name. And the reason why that is because Whitney was the project manager at this time. Now, why did that happen? Now, originally, it was under Dale's name. So when Dale and I first started the project, it was under his name. Now, a situation happened where Indiegogo, and for a little over 24 hours, Dale's address was right on the screen. And as being project managers, we were trying to get a hold of Dale, and we couldn't get a hold of Dale for 2 days. So we had to put the bank information in our name. And there's a couple reasons why we had to do that. When you do a campaign, you got to buy books, you got to buy tape, you got to buy mailing stuff, you got to buy, there's a plethora of things that you have to buy when you're doing a campaign that pops up. And we couldn't have this situation where we wouldn't be able to get a hold of Dale, because again, this campaign was under our name. And if Dale went AWOL, and we weren't able to get a hold of him, we would be sitting here with a unfulfilled book, and people would be looking at us. So, I mean, we weren't technically like the publisher, but on this aspect of things, we had to treat it that way because we had to have access to the money so we could make things happen sooner. You know what I'm saying?
Well, also, like, to point out, we made a separate bank account for this.
Yes.
The whole reason for the separate bank account was to keep our money and everything with us 100% separate. And, we could send Dale all the bank statements and all the invoices and all the receipts for everything we buy. And we could just give him his lump. Like, we could just give him money and he doesn't have to worry about anything. And looking and checking receipts and everything would be as simple as addition and subtraction and checking one account and checking a receipt.
Yeah.
Just to keep everything as simple as possible, to keep our money completely separate, and, just to keep it super transparent. We opened the bank account, we put in our own money because you have to have a minimum balance, like.
We went down to the bank, we started a new account, we had to put money in it and spent. Right?
When we did ask about adding Dale to the bank account, but he's in Canada, of course, so it's not that simple. I mean, we could send him all the statements and everything, but actually adding him to the bank account I'm not sure if it's 100% impossible, but that's what we understood when we asked at the bank.
If we were grifters, we would just put it all in our bank account,
Our bank account.
Yeah, not start a separate bank account and put our money in the bank account to even fucking start the thing. That doesn't sound like a grifter to me, So we had to start a bank account. Now, the day before, like I said, I talked to Dale and things were working very smoothly. So, I was talking to Dale before, and everything was great. Everything was nice and shiny. And then, I talked to him, and I was going to bed early, and I was like, "You go to bed early. Let's get a nice. Let's get some sleep so we got a nice big start tomorrow." And then I woke up to a barrage of text messages of Dale. I would say probably intoxicated and progressively getting worse and more paranoid. And this is kind of where the word grifter came in, because the word grifter was used a couple of times to describe me and my wife. And he reached out to some fellow CGer creators who kind of influenced him into thinking that he didn't have to, that we didn't have to change the address. When his information was on screen, some certain creators left their address on there. He was kind of saying, "Why did you change the address?" And then, and he was still going on in the conversation. He was basically talking to himself because I was sound asleep, So then, like, I woke up to the saying, "I want to cancel the project," and it's like, I tried talking to him for a little bit. He was up all night and aggravated, and he was convinced that we were trying to take his money. And right then, like, we couldn't do the project because we couldn't get halfway into this thing, and then him start accusing us of trying to steal his money. So, right away we got online, we started shutting the thing down. I remember working on this at 1:00, and I remember saying we should already be $100,000 deep in this thing by now. So we closed it down, and that was that. It's out of our hands now completely. We still have nothing but love for Dale, and we do hope this book does happen sooner than later. So we canceled the book, and then in true Dale fashion, an hour after we canceled the book, he wanted us to put the book back on. He changed his mind. He came to his senses, and he was like, "I'm sorry." There was a lot of name calling, and it was just like, "Sorry, man." The stress levels were just too high for us to be able to deal with that. So, I told Dale, like, the assets are made, and, the trailer is made. So it's like whenever you're deciding to go. In the last 24 hours, I saw a lot of interesting people coming in and trying to swoop in and help Dale, trying to pick up the project. Some people that didn't want to help before, but as soon as the project was vacant, they wanted to help. They wanted the project like for themselves. It's like, Dale, be careful whose lap this falls in. Again, like, we wish Dale the most luck in all of this, and we hope that he can get it done. Dale deserves a W. He deserves a win on this. And people were asking me to name names. Whitney specifically gave me a talking to before that I was not allowed to name names. So
no,
I'm not,
because you can never be 100% sure. Like, everyone has their own point of view, so don't name names because people have,
But I will say, and I see some people out there, we asked for some help, and no help was to be found. And then as soon as the book was vacant, you guys wanted to come in and grab the book. We're not stupid, and I just want to say that if you grab the book and you want to run with it now, if you want to save it, if you want to steal Dale away and save it, then
no one's stealing Dale. Dale can do whatever he wants. Anyone else can do whatever they want. We're just going to continue with our stuff. It's not a deal.
Mm-hmm.
Not a deal.
Okay.
You got a super chat.
To our studios. Very classy. Not naming names of the backstabbers. Yes. So that's enough about the Dale topic. Now, something that I want to move on to is Comicsgate and how I feel about Comicsgate 2018 versus Comicsgate in 2013. And again, Biggins, if you want the link, I'll send you the link because you talk about this quite eloquently. So if you're still out there, Biggins, just send me the link and I'll send you the link. I'm sure Whitney would like to say hello to you too. So what we came to know of Comicsgate, it was in infancy, it was Captain Cummings, it was Ben Henderson, it was your boy Zach, Diversity in Comics, Mullen was just getting in there, EVS was just getting in there. This thing where it was like a fan movement. Oh, Biggin says he's here, but his mic's not ready. All right, well, you're here in spirit. It was this fan movement. The fans decided things. The fans decided we were going to Indiegogo. The fans decided what books did well, even bad books. Like the fans decided that stuff. And just as we progressed, I've seen Comicsgate turn from a fan movement into a business model to the point where it's even trademarked now, and it's hard for one to call themselves Comicsgate when there's a TM after it, it's kind of morphed drastically in the past couple years. More specifically, like, I'm noticing in the past couple of months, and I know you're sick of hearing about the Indiegogo Kickstarter thing.
I'm so sick of hearing about it.
I mean,
I could not care less. I'm so sick of it.
Like, you'd hear me talking to Shane or something like this about a Kickstarter Indiegogo argument, and she's like, I can't believe you fucking guys are still having an argument, about this. And one of the reasons is because really at the heart of things, like, Comicsgate is leaderless, Before, everyone was kind of following, like, your boy Zach. Once your boy Zach went, no one really knew exactly who to follow. Like, Ethan has a very big microphone, so we listened to him. It seemed that CG kind of lacked leadership. But here's the thing about CG with leadership. The leadership came from the fan base. And that was the thing about it that was so intriguing at the beginning, is it didn't necessarily need a leader because the fan base guided where we went. And at the time, Indiegogo is where we went. But as things progress, as things do, the soil has kind of gone bad in Indiegogo in many aspects. And there was this stigma that we can't go to Kickstarter because we're all going to go to hell. We go to Kickstarter. But there was very much proof. I mean, Billy Tucci had success over at Kickstarter time and time again. We went over to Kickstarter and we had success with Last of the Seekers. So there was no reason for a boycott. And that was something else that happened. Like during this whole period, it was like the definition of Comicsgate changed. You know, the definition was first, it was a fan movement that was sick of like SJW garbage being in comic books, and then it kind of turned to like Christian conservative like movement where it's like not everyone in Comicsgate are Christian conservatives. There's a lot of people in Comicsgate that just want base comic books or old school comic books or whatever you want to call it. There was like this shift that was happening, again, not by the fan base, by leadership of where we're supposed to go with this. You know, I looked around these past couple of months and I just saw a landscape that was unrecognizable to when we first got here. Now, I'm going to say this about Riot Press right now. Riot Press is not Comicsgate. Patrick Thomas Parnell as a person, I am a Comicsgate. And I heard Eric July say this very early on when he announced ISOM and he came on. And he said, "Hi, Comicsgate," and people kept on going, "Are you Comicsgate? Are you Comicsgate? Are you Comicsgate?" And Eric July, I mean, he said a business can't be Comicsgate. It's the individuals who are Comicsgate. The individual fan base Comicsgate leads the business. The business that you make does not lead Comicsgate. Okay? No matter what shows you make or shirts you make, the fans decide what Comicsgate is, not your business. And you have to listen to the fans. And that was a big thing that has changed over the past couple of years is Comicsgate has been forced into this Christian conservative movement that's a business. And it's not a fan-based movement anymore. So certain people were allowed privileges if you went along with this. It is what it is. So Riot Press, we're gonna continue to make stuff, and when we make stuff, we focus on making them for the based individual who most likely is probably a fan of, is a Comicsgate person. But going forward, I'm not sure exactly where I stand with Comicsgate because, again, it's a trademark, it's a business, and that'd be like me saying I'm Nike or I'm Reebok. It's a very weird thing to say now. And when the whole debate was happening of who owned the name and all that stuff, I kept on thinking about this line from Tropic Thunder where Danny McBride was talking to Nick Nolte. And Nick Nolte has like this big gun on his side. And he said something along the lines of, Danny McBride says to Nick Nolte, he says, "That's a nice side piece you have there. What is it?" And Nick Nolte just looks straight ahead off into the woods. "I don't know the name of it. I just know the sound that it makes when it takes a man's life." And that's kind of how I feel about Comicsgate or whatever this is called. We can call it Comicsgate, we can call it Titty Titty Bang Bang, we can call it Base Comics. It doesn't matter what we call it. The message is clear. We don't like SJW garbage. We like base comic books. We like our old comic books. We don't like any of this weird stuff, these weird ESG guidelines. So when the whole debate was happening on the name, who owns Comicsgate, I really thought it was dumb. It doesn't matter what it's called. What matters is in our heart. Yeah, I mean, it's a nice name to have, I guess. Although, I mean, it's actually proven having the name Comicsgate has actually closed the gate for a lot of us in a lot of places. A lot of crowdfunding websites, because as soon as you put yourself in a group like that, like your Comicsgate, it's very easy for people to rile you up and just be like, well, you're part of this group. That's why I was always confused about that, because it's like it's like shooting fish in a barrel. And we've seen that happen now with BackerKit and Crowdfunder and stuff like that. And I think in a sense, holding on to that name kind of painted us in a corner in a way. Again, it doesn't matter what we're called. What matters is the message of what we're trying to do. So that's how I feel about the name Comicsgate and moving forward of what I'm going to be calling myself. I'm just a comic book creator who found Comicsgate like a lot of you guys did, and I fell in love with it, and I fell in love with the message. But now it's like, in many aspects, like, the name has tainted us on the battlefield and has actually closed a lot of doors to us just because we labeled ourselves. Okay. So anyway, again, moving forward, Riot Press makes books for people, all shapes, all sizes. PTP, OG Comicsgate fan. 200 students says, I disagree with you on this. CGC is not the gatekeepers. Kickstarter is gatekeeping creators. You've seen the discussions when I forget the guy's name from Bleeding Fool, but he recorded the conversation with the guy who owned Crowdfunder, and it was like, oh, you're part of Comicsgate. It was very boom. So that's, and that's when I started to kind of piece some of this together. I was just like, well, shit, how do we undo that? And it's the toothpaste is out of the tube, but you can't put it back. Let's agree or disagree. Let's talk about it. That's fine. But there is proof that it's kind of put a bullseye on people's backs and easier for them to be identified. How dare you, PTP, go against the cult? Yeah, well, I mean, listen, I know some of the stuff I'm saying is taboo, and you probably won't see me around on some channels for a while, like, because of the way I feel about this. But it's just the way I feel. Again, like, a lot of things that have happened in the past couple months, the past couple weeks, the past couple hours have kind of put some things in perspective, just about people and just things have been put into perspective a lot. So that's that. Again, if we're all in Indiegogo and Indiegogo turns that switch and turns the power off, then what? Some people around here have made some really rad websites that have rivaled or even better than Indiegogo. And some of the upper echelon, upper level people in the CG have not showcased these websites as much as they should. They've kept on pointing us towards Indiegogo. Billy Tucci has been talking with Diamond, and they want to kind of get something going with us crowdfunders and helping us getting more exposure, which I think is great. I think as far as, the content that we're making, it's like our main adversary, and this is something that has to be said, like, our main adversaries are not each other. It's like something that I've seen in the past year and a half, 2 years, is like, in some aspects over here, and I'm going to call it CG, but, over here in CG, it's like we've kind of turned into crabs in a bucket too. And it's like people tearing down other creators because they get more time on this show, or they're hating this person because this person is talking favorably about them. Just, it shouldn't be about that. Like, when I first got over here, everyone was like lifting everyone up, and now it seems like people just get like jealous and they tear other people down. I'm not working on this project. Why aren't they talking about my project? You're not promoting me. It's like, it's just gotten like super like nasty. It's gotten to a point where smaller creators, there's the kings who always do over $100,000 because they're the kings, and that name's so are you poking me there? Okay. That name is what it is, but there's a lot of smaller creators that can't break through. And there's a lot of good books that are out there that cannot break through anymore. And that wasn't the case like when I got here, because when I got here, I did a time lapse painting of Cyberfrog that EVS saw, and he had me on the stream. That's the way it was done in the old days. Now it's tight, but in the same time, it's like we're letting people like Gabe El Tahib in here, who is a bull in a fucking china shop. And I don't know how we didn't see that coming a mile away. I talked to that guy for 5 minutes, and I knew he was a tard. But that's a different discussion for a different time. I think you just have to be careful who you let in and talk to them for a minute. I was actually lucky. I got in there at a time when I was able to kind of break through, and I don't know if I was like the last one or what, but I feel like recently there's been this block where it's just like No, these are the people that are on the top. You guys are on the bottom. I've heard people call it the CG slums, and I have no doubt after this stream, we're going to the CG slums, sweetheart. Are you mad?
Yes.